Hello and welcome back to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University. And welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you, and this is going to be a little bit different today, by Sprocket West Kentucky. Is the new name for Grow West. It's evolved and it's grown, and perhaps in the future we can share a little bit more about what all that means on 10 at 10. But Sprocket West Kentucky, KY Innovation, and local partner Sprocket in Paducah as well. This is episode 232. It is the even number episode, so we're going to get into the news of the day and share a little bit about all the things that are going on and what we can learn about it. And I will tell you, like I do often, is that my goal is not necessarily to tell you all of the cybersecurity news. Frankly, 10 at 10 needs to be, a 5-hour show in order to do that. But I do want to share a little bit about what's going on and specifically how that relates to you. And some of the things that I will share are actually things that I have been asked about, and I wanted to highlight those items today. So let's get into it. And there we go. All right. So the first story I want to talk about today, it comes from Forbes. Forbes wrote a story, and this came out a couple days ago, why you should stop using SMS 2FA codes on your smartphone. So SMS is texting, is essentially what SMS means. And 2FA is the multi-factor authentication. 2FA, two-factor authentication, that is where we are using something beyond our passwords to prove we are who we say we are. We've talked about this before, but this article really, I think, is another component to consider. First of all, for years, I've been telling you, and other cybersecurity professionals have been telling you, that just having a password is not enough. You need a password, but you also need a second factor. You need some other way to verify that you are who you say you are, and I have a story on that we'll get into in a minute. But the reason for that is that the odds of my phone being stolen are pretty low. So if I text a code to my phone, then I'm probably going to be the one with the phone. Well, text messaging goes across the cell network. It goes across telecom providers' network. It goes across that infrastructure that we have. There was a data breach or a hack, I guess would be the better term, of our telecom companies called Salt Typhoon by the Chinese government, or at least that's who they believe that was responsible for it. And in that means that a foreign government could be monitoring the telecom network. Now, you've actually heard me say that it's easier to spoof a phone than one of those apps. Well, that's true, but also it means that these third parties might be monitoring that network in theory. And if you're sending that across SMS, then that number is going to be there. They could intercept it. They could log into your account. The better way to do that would be using one of these authenticator apps. Now, there's a lot of other ways that we could get into that I'm not going to talk about right now. But just simply put, if you have the option of using an authenticator app, Murray State uses Duo. If you have the option between an app and a text message, then use the app. That's really what the article, at least for me, the main takeaway for now is. So anyway, second, this is a question I've been getting a lot. So there was a new executive order that came out from the White House, and cybersecurity people are worried about it, or people that read articles are worried about it. And what does it all mean? All right. So the executive order, I won't get into the details of it, but as the headlines you see on the screen, pro-business, anti-regulation. There's a lot of things that are moving towards pro-business, anti-regulation. Security is a balance thing. It's a balancing act where you have usability on one side, security on the other. So where do you want to end up being? Frankly, this executive order does nothing for me. What I continue to tell people, what I continue to press forward with, is you need to look at the frameworks, the industry best practices, do a lot of those things, and regardless of what the government's requiring or not requiring, you'll be in good shape. Does this thing have an impact? Sure, it does. It's going to make a difference on some components, but right now, what you need to know is to ignore all the noise and continue doing what is the best thing for you and your organization. And matter of fact, this next article, which I find very interesting, there was a study that was put out by Veracode not too long ago, and it's talking about the number of software vulnerabilities that are on government networks. And you can't see it on the screen, but roughly 80% of government agencies have software vulnerabilities that have gone unaddressed for at least a year. And roughly 55%, yes, that's more than half of them, have long-standing software flaws that place them at an even greater risk, the report found. So what does all that mean? First of all, our government needs to get their act in order and do the things that they're supposed to be doing. That's number one. There's nothing that you and I can do about that. What this means for you and me is that it should serve as a reminder that we need to make sure that we're taking care of our house, that we need to make sure that we're regularly checking for software vulnerabilities, regularly patching, regularly doing updates, regularly looking at the exploit and vulnerabilities as they get issued, CVEs that we talked about last time. That you need to be doing those things, those good cyber hygiene items on a very regular basis, so that we're not in this situation where we have software that's been unpatched for more than a year. That is a target. Now, here's the reality, is that your company may not be the target, but there are services, Shodan is one, that you can go and find where there are servers, where there are systems that are not patched and not updated the way that they should. Our government is certainly a target. So this is really problematic. This is a bad deal that our government is not doing the things that they need to do. But anyway, all right. So last year I talked about, it was the Moab. It was the mother of all data breaches. And there were, I don't know, it was over 30 billion passwords and identities that were leaked. All right. So this one's not as big as that, but it is 16 billion records that are exposed. It includes some big names. It includes a lot of, frankly, accounts that each of us usually that probably use on a regular basis. Matter of fact, if you're watching this on Facebook, then obviously you're a user of this. But what I continue to use this or to talk about this for is, first of all, two-factor authentication is really important. Second of all, you're probably part of this. So checking to see if your password's on the list is certainly a good thing. Second of all, unique passwords are really important. If we are using strong, unique passwords, then first of all, there's a good chance that password needs to be changed right now. Second of all, it's going to be isolated to that account. You're not going to have to be concerned that that password, every account that you have is vulnerable because you're using unique passwords. Making sure that you do that is going to be very important. All right. There's a lot more that I could get into talking about this. There's certainly more stories that we could get into, but we're out of time for today. And we'll save some for next time. But if you have questions, if you have worries, if you have concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. My contact will be on our credit slide. If there's anything that I can do for you, please reach out, let me know, and I would be happy to help you, your organization, to help you stay safe in cyberspace. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.